That, my friends, was a common Bengals W. I did not expect to be saying that much, if at all, for the rest of this season. Full transparency, I sold my tickets for next week's game. Not because of Jake Browning, but because the weather's going to be bad. But the Cincinnati Bengals can win with Jake Browning. And not only can they win with Jake Browning, they can win against one of the best teams in the NFL on the road in prime time with Jake Browning. The Cincinnati Bengals win in overtime 34-31 over the Jacksonville Jaguars. Wow. So those of you, almost all of you know my day job. I cover professional wrestling. The Jacksonville Jaguars are owned by the Khan family, who also own All Elite Wrestling. So, little investment in this game for me, completely aside from the Cincinnati Bengals season. And the Bengals are not rolling over. Right now, the Cincinnati Bengals should be 8-4. They should have won the Texans game. I can't remember what other game it was earlier. Maybe it was the Steelers game. I feel like they should have also won. This was almost in the loss column. And don't look now, but through the end of the year, the Cincinnati Bengals only play backup quarterbacks at home. Only backup quarterbacks at home. Colts, Vikings, Browns. There is a possibility, not a likelihood, but a possibility that the Bengals still finish this season over 500. And they have given me reason for optimism, but there have been there have been some issues along the way, right? Like there have certainly been issues along the way. If you are in the live chat, please share. I'm very excited. Tim says, oh man, when it went down. The White Stripes, and I need to maximize my window here. That way I can see it from across the room. My apologies. There we go. This is the White Stripes, an okay band, an unbeatable uniform. Brandon Bell says shows how much a healthy T does for the offense. To have to figure a way to re-sign him. They can tag him as well. He didn't factor as much into this game, but he certainly opened things up for Jamar Chase. So let's go ahead and get into this. Also, best wishes to Trevor Lawrence. You never want to see a QB go down like that. Let's talk about the QB on the Cincinnati Bengals side of things, Jake Browning. So Jake Browning not only gets his opportunity, but he's playing for a spot next year. However, if Jake Browning plays like this the rest of this season, he's not playing for a backup spot to Joe Burrow. He's playing for a starting spot somewhere. So, best case scenario for Jake Browning, he is playing to be a starter in the NFL at this point after what we've seen. 32 of 37, 86%. He is 80% in the last two games. Short passes usually, then they mix in the occasional long distance throw, like that beauty to Jamar Chase, who had 11 receptions, although the first couple were just, were just little quick ones. It looked to me like they were just like, let's get Jamar this record for single season receptions. But Jake Browning went 32 of 37 in prime time for 354 yards, one interception. He did not fumble the ball. He did not throw a pick. He got sacked twice. One of those sacks was very bad. But Jake Browning played his ass off. He played smart, effective, and reasonably aggressive football. Somehow, the screen passes, in which I loathe from the Cincinnati Bengals, were just hitting tonight. Now, granted, If you took all of those that succeeded tonight and you just, you take that sample size throughout the year, it's still a horrible percentage. It is still a very bad percentage. And I don't necessarily want to see that. But damn, Jake Browning played his ass off tonight. Got home and thought that Sean was having a frustrating or an exciting night. Yeah, I certainly would. Joseph Boza says, will they get a playoff spot or need a wild card win? They would need a wild card win, but it's highly unlikely this team makes the playoffs. I'm going to be realistic. Bengals either need to draft or sign some O-line help to protect Joe. They have Burrow. They would be, no pun intended, on an elite squad. So, yeah, I don't know what. Joe Burrow doesn't help himself in a lot of ways. That was like that. He doesn't help himself in a lot of ways. Jake Browning scrambles, moves around a little bit. Joe Burrow was starting to move around when he got hurt. But, yeah, the Bengals do got to retool that line a little bit. Cordell Volson, I thought, at least from what I saw, seemed to do a good job tonight, and that's not usually the case. I didn't focus on the O-line a lot. I did have to watch Monday Night Raw as well. But Cam Taylor-Britt was also out on the defensive end, and that sucks. That sucks. We'll be talking about that a little bit later, but let's talk about the offense. That Jake Browning sack, some not great awareness there. There were 3 really bad plays in this game that almost cost the Cincinnati Bengals this game. There was that big sack, and then there were 2 just completely ignorant trick plays, one of which resulted in a negative 7-yard completion from Jamar Chase to Jake Browning. That pushed Evan McPherson out of field goal range, and he clanged it off the metal. That wouldn't have happened. They would have Evan McPherson would have made that field goal, 3-point cushion, no need for overtime. Then later on, they ran another one in one of the dumbest plays that I have ever seen in the NFL. The ball gets kicked out to Tyler Boyd, who, has completed some stuff in his career. He throws it directly to, sorry if I hit the mic. He throws the ball directly to the Jacksonville Jaguars, who are in the red zone, score 7 points. They took 3 points away from Evan McPherson. They put 7 points on the board for the Jaguars that they should have had no business getting into. The Cincinnati Bengals should have won this game in regulation by 10 points, if not for 2 really dumb trick plays. Don't ever do it again. That was so bad. Evan McPherson ended up winning the game on a field goal in overtime. Great. But this should have been a regulation victory for the Cincinnati Bengals. Should have won it. And looking back, hell yeah, the Bengals should have won against the Texans. The Bengals probably should have won against the Steelers, but what a nasty, ugly, dumbass game that was. I saw somebody say they should have beat the Titans. I mean, no, they got their asses kicked by the Titans. That was it. They got their asses kicked there. At worst, I think avoiding some really dumb stuff, the Bengals should at least be 7-5, but ideally they should be 8-4 right now. Jamar Chase, 11 receptions. He's got 86 on the season. He is going to be beating that record for sure. That single season receptions record that was very important to him. Love seeing that. I think this Bengals team can beat the Colts. I think they can beat the Steelers. I think they can beat the Browns. Those are 4 games that I think are winnable for them if Jake Browning plays even anything resembling like he did tonight. He outplayed Trevor Lawrence, who unfortunately got hurt towards the end of that game. And then even Trevor Lawrence's backup went like 9 for 10 and charged up field. Now, granted, there were a couple of sacks there as well. But a lot of people getting in on the action tonight. Joe Mixon. The good and the bad here. So Joe Mixon scored 2 touchdowns. Incredible. 3.6 yards a carry on 19 carries. Some of those were very short yardage requests, so that kind of knocked his average down. But Chase Brown ran for 61 on 9 carries for 6.8. Chase Brown is coming for that job. But Joe Mixon is such a good catching back. He caught 6 passes for 49 yards. And a lot of those were very short and screen, those line of scrimmage passes that I loathe so much, but he was making it work. He had his legs tonight. Tyler Boyd 5 catches, not a lot of yardage there. T. Higgins 3 catches, 36 yards. But I'll tell you what I'm going to put over again. Something that I shouldn't have to put over, but the Cincinnati Bengals have discovered that tight ends exist. They have discovered that tight ends are a thing. What's the schedule for the teams right now in front of the schedule? I don't know what you mean. At the point in the game, I think Browning was 16 or 18. At that point, I knew it was a realistic thing. Like I said a couple of weeks ago, Joe Burrow is like early Matt Stafford. You love him as a fan, but he stresses you out. Yeah, he does. He does. Antonio says, I was watching the Peyton and Eli version of the show, and when the receiver threw an interception, Peyton said, the QB is perfect so far in the game, so why do they keep having the wide receiver throw it? Exactly. Falcons are just a disappointment. You should never replace your QB. Hopefully Atlanta gets their shit together. Enjoyed the watch along after Raw tonight. So, yeah, I covered Raw tonight for the day job, and I was going to have Kate fill in, and I was like, you know what? There's 2 minutes left in the game. I can take this. Oh, boy. Mike the Jeweler says I would say something positive about the Falcons. I love Jesse Bates. Joseph Bozes says this was likely an L, or this is an L likely till Trevor Lawrence went down with a sprained ankle. I know Browning was 32, 37, 357 yards with 1 touchdown. I'm sorry, I don't agree with that. The Bengals left 10 points on the board. I think that they would have found a chance to still tie it up. They were able to get stops when they needed them. An amazing stat line from Browning. Bad start with passes in the flat, says Jeff Hawkins, who's going to be at the Vikings game with me. Dumb trick plays, a little luck. The White Bengal remains undefeated. The defense needs to shore up a bit. Yeah, the defense needs to shore up a lot a bit. Let's go ahead and talk about that. Defense sucks ass cracks. They're terrible. Lou Anarumo, something that myself, Jeff Hawkins, and Charles were talking about in our group chat. Lou Anarumo may have cost himself a head coaching job. And I really felt tonight like the Bengals could have given up 500 yards. That bad, especially against this offense. They gave up 375. That's not good. But I'll tell you what is good. Battle's getting more reps. DJ Turner getting more reps. Osai, Hubbard, Battle, Hendrickson all get tackles. Pratt and Hilton with TFLs. Pratt worked his ass off. But they didn't recover any of the 3 fumbles. They did force a few, force. I use that term very lightly, very liberally, but they didn't recover any of the 3 fumbles. It's a lot of the same throughout this year. The Cincinnati Bengals will give up 70, 80 yards up the field and make miraculous plays, whether it be them forcing a fumble, making a pick, something happening. They got bailed out in this situation a couple of different times. One, Trevor Lawrence went down. That sucks. That absolutely sucks. You hate to see that. They got bailed out as a result of that. Also, McManus missing an integral field goal. That bailed them out as well. The Cincinnati Bengals have had an incredible amount of luck on the defensive side. And like 6, 7, 8 games into the season, I'm seeing people that I don't want to say cover the Bengals for a living, but their personality on social media is the Bengals, talking about how great the defense is. And I'm like, what are you watching? Like, what? I'm seeing this Bengals team get diced up and then make these incredible plays in the red zone or field goal range and take the ball back. And that's nice, but I would really like better field position. I would like more punts. I would like 3 and outs. I would like that. We get like one of those a game and it feels really good. And they've got such talented people. Mike Hilton's good. Jordan Battle looking promising. Cam Taylor-Britt, incredible. Awuzie had some flashes tonight of the old Awuzie. Hubbard, Hendrickson, DJ Reader, there's some really talented guys. But on any given day, I mean, Jermaine Pratt, I don't know if I mentioned Mike Hilton. Osai looked really good last year, and he got a sack today. But for some reason, they don't come all together. They were getting diced over the middle so badly throughout this year. The run defense was really, really bad all season long. Tonight, they held Jacksonville to 2.5 or 2.8 a carry, I think, but still gave up 2 rushing touchdowns. Um, there were some rough ones. I mean, Travis Etienne, I feel like if he would have gotten the ball more, they would have done a little bit better. But when you've got a quarterback like Trevor Lawrence, I understand why you want to sling it. So I get that. I definitely get that. Tight ends. Let's talk about the damn tight ends. 6 of 6. The Bengals, quite frankly, have absolutely mid tight ends. There's nothing special about the tight ends that the Bengals have. But, I mean, Hayden Hurst, let's be real, not a lot special about Hayden Hurst. I love him. Wish he was still on this team. I think that he'd be doing great. But the Bengals seem to have found what works with this like four-headed attack of Wilcox and Irv Smith and Sample, and especially Tanner Hudson, who is about the same age as Hayden Hurst was last year, on a one-year deal, like Hayden Hurst was last year. And I've said it a million times. The Bengals method is, do you want to make $1 million here this year and like 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 next year somewhere else? Well, here you go. Tanner Hudson, 4 for 4, 35 yards, some important positions here. Mitchell Wilcox, 1 of 1, 12 yards. Drew Sample, 1 of 1, 11 yards. So to the tight end, 6 of 6. That is alarming accuracy for mid tight ends. And if the Cincinnati Bengals, with Burrow, Jake Browning, or even if Tyler Boyd's heaving the ball, they can get that type of accuracy, meaning 100% out of their tight ends, well, I think they're going to do all right. It is so refreshing. It is so refreshing to see that, because we'd be lucky if Hayden Hurst got targeted 2 or 3 times last year. And now that they're getting targeted 6 times for 6 completions, I love it. This is what so many Bengals fans were asking for. They're like, listen, a couple years ago when you were going to add to the offensive line with Penei Sewell, and they said, now we'll just get Chase. You could do that again and just get a really great tight end. But unless there's one that jumps off the page to the point to where you can't say no, I think you get another Tanner Hudson. I think you get another Hayden Hurst. And look at what Hayden Hurst has done. Look at what CJ Uzama has done, or what they've not done. The Bengals would have used both of those guys more than what they're being used, right? Like, do you think that CJ Uzama has 12 targets this year and 27 last year if he stayed with the Bengals? No. He was getting 63 by the time he was out of Cincinnati. Hayden Hurst, got his pay, but unfortunately was getting 2 receptions a game in Carolina. And I think his mom was even like, man, he would love to be back. Tanner Hudson's getting that job done. Tanner Hudson has been such a pleasant surprise for the Cincinnati Bengals team. And Will McClain says Hayden probably wishes he was with the Bengals. Yeah, Jeff Hawkins says he won't come, but offer Ertz. Let's see what happens. Absolutely offer Ertz. The Bengals showed today they can still make a run. And if here's what I say, in the NFL, the difference between getting the 13th pick and getting the 19th pick, and just being good at drafting, quite frankly, is like a couple wins. Tanner Hudson, by the way, has 31 targets this year. Hayden Hurst has 32. Just saying. Let me talk about one thing I don't like. I will constantly quote the Vin Diesel thing. Stop thinking Prague police, start thinking PlayStation. You have T. Higgins, Joe Mixon, Tyler Boyd, Jamar Chase, now Tanner Hudson, Chase Brown doing incredible stuff on your team. If you have 20 seconds and 3 touchdowns left, or three timeouts left in the first half, and the Jaguars get the ball, air it out a few times, try to get it into field goal range, and put 3 on the board. What do you have to lose? What do you have to lose? Go upfield and do it, man. Cincinnati Bengals back at home against the Colts next weekend. They're doing good. They're doing good. But all good things must come to an end, and the Bengals, it's looking like the weather's going to be a little nasty next week. Bengals have a little bit of experience in playing in this nasty weather now, right? And like Gardner Minshew ain't anything special. He had a good game against Tennessee, but they barely beat Tennessee. He didn't look great or anything in his prior couple games, but he's not invincible. He's fumbled quite a bit this season as well. Susceptible to picks, especially since the Jacksonville game. I think the Bengals can win that football game and get back over 500. He says, don't know why he threw it to a tight end right before the half, inbounds with no timeouts at the 50 with like 10 seconds left. Yeah. I mean, that one is a little bit tougher. A little bit tougher. Oh, guys, it's almost 1 a.m. I had to get on here and do this stream. Had to get on here and do this damn stream. Couldn't believe it. Cincinnati Bengals win in prime time. Jake Browning looks good. Man. Zach Taylor said, we needed to feel the defense out when talking about the first 2 series before throwing downfield. I mean, you were saying it, Jeff. Chicks dig the long ball. They definitely do. And Jake Browning showed that he's got that threat. And hold on, Jeff's. I didn't see that Jeff was wanting to do a run in. Jeff, I don't have my earbuds, or else I would I would have you on here, but I don't have my earbuds, and it will come through my speakers and cause an echo. But you know what? Jeff is going to be on an upcoming show very soon. Let's make that happen. I'm sorry I didn't see your message until now, Jeff. Giants and Bengals on the comeback. Oh, well. Guys, I might do another stream this week. I don't know. I'm in a great mood. I had a phenomenal weekend. Had a great weekend. Going to a game with Jeff Hawkins in a couple weeks. Very excited for that. Welcome back to also our good friend Charles, who back from the military. I don't know exactly what he does. I just know that we love the fella, me and Jeff do, and we have deemed him unavailable to go back wherever the hell he's got to go, so he can't watch these games. So we're so glad to have him back. It's a good night. It's a good weekend. It's a good time. We're out.